Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni's The Mandalorian was both the metaphorical and literal knight in shining armor that Disney Star Wars desperately needed after alienating much of its fan base with one divisive film after another. Regardless of if you enjoyed the recent entries or not, an undeniable fact was that the fan base had been divided and now needed a unifying entry to bring everyone back together. And it came in the form of the sci-fi equivalent to The Man Without a Name. The lone, faceless, gun-for-hire turned reluctant father figure was just what Disney Star Wars needed, bringing fans together again with its simple but entertaining premise, fast-paced action, beloved original characters, and its incredible visuals, thanks in no small part to its unbelievably inventive new technology, utilizing immersive wraparound LED screens known now as the volume as the backdrop for their sets. However, this technological breakthrough that improved major flaws in the lack of realism in green screen work has now been reduced to a cheap video game cutscene in major shows like Rings of Power and Obi-Wan Kenobi. So how is it that a simple and comparatively modestly budget show filmed all the way back in 2018, just beginning to experiment with this technology, looks so much better than its modern higher-priced counterparts? Well, first, let's talk about the reason why this technology was invented in the first place. Jon Favreau and his team had been looking for more realistic ways to have actors interact with CGI environments, and found the solution while filming Jungle Book, placing LED walls near the actor to allow changing light and shadow to be captured in camera. He had also been experimenting with video game engines and virtual reality while filming The Lion King, and so when it came time for production on The Mandalorian, he needed both cost-effective and time-effective ways of filming, and so these ideas end up coming together. Contrast this with the needs of the current day, where the volume is used simply because it's accessible, cheap, and easy on production. Ingenuity and necessity have been replaced by complacency and laziness. Now let's get into the influence that this technology had specifically on cinematography. With The Mandalorian, the volume was used primarily as a set extension rather than the set itself, meaning that the production team built as much of the environment as they could as real, physical, practical sets, and then used the volume to fill out the rest of the background. This added real depth to their shots that the camera could pick up and influence their framing in a more natural way. Take, for example, scenes with Mando's ship. Half of the ship was part of a practical real set and was built for real. Or these scenes in the hangar bay, where half of the set again is real and the volume is just filling in the rest. Now compare that to the scenes in Obi-Wan Kenobi where only the floor and the table are real. There's also now a tendency to film in wider lenses, trying to rely on the volume to provide depth to the image when it never truly can, since an LED wall, and even a circular one, is still simply that, a wall. It's flat and one-dimensional, and the camera and the viewer will pick up on this. This technology that also brought about incredible breakthroughs also had hindrances in creativity in terms of lighting design. Because the software combined with the output of the LED screens, Mandalorian was able to pull off convincing and realistic lighting for scenes that, while looked like maybe exterior shots, were actually filmed indoors. Again, this was because they understood the limitations of the volume. For sunset shots like this, where it would be natural for the characters to be softly backlit and near silhouetted, utilizing the light from the volume made sense. However, with darker backgrounds like you can see here, they supplemented the light from the volume with real lighting fixtures, knowing that the volume cannot do all of the work for them. Now let's compare this to that final fight in Obi-Wan where, as I pointed out even in my first video, that there seemed to be only a single dim source of light for the scene outside of the LED lightsabers. And as you can see here from my more recent breakdown of the behind the scenes of Obi-Wan, that was in fact the case, the source being the light just from the volume. The problem here though is that the output from the light of that background in the volume wasn't sufficiently lighting the subjects in the scene, and nothing else was added to supplement these underexposed shots except for those LED lightsabers. Another aspect that The Mandalorian had working in its favor, something both Jon Favreau and Bob Idowine, the show's director of photography, point out, that Mando was covered in reflective material, allowing for light to bounce and play off of his armor, something that they used to their advantage quite a lot when designing the lighting, as adding in too much additional light when not needed would be immediately noticeable. Additionally, when attempting to mock a specific light source, like sunlight for example, the type of light that is used is a subtle but important detail. Traditional lighting instruments like Fresnels, Licos, Pars, and so on create light by physical bulbs, heating coils to produce light. This type of bulb then determines the color based off of its physical temperature, which is measured in Kelvin, and it's referred to as the light's color temperature. The hotter the temperature, the cooler that it appears. The cooler the temperature, the warmer it appears. So because of these factors, these type of lights tend to look more real, whereas LED lights, and specifically the lights emitted from the LED walls like in the volume, don't have that same physical output of heat, but are simply replicating color and brightness. And while they've come a long way and are looking better and better and better all the time, they still will never truly match that look. The most convincing looks that come from the volume and LED lighting come from interior scenarios like you see here. So the solution to the modern issues with the use of false backgrounds are to take a few notes from the Mandalorian, utilizing the volume as a tool to enhance the image, not to create it. This is the way. Well, thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, give it a like and share it, and if you haven't yet, subscribe to my channel for more videos just like this, and let me know down in the comments, what did you think of the technology that emerged from the Mandalorian?
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.